World Book Day. So it's a thing, right? Hannah, I know you know all about it. I can't remember.
I don't, actually.
No?
We
Did
didn't
they
do
not
it.
do it when you were
Didn't
at
do it
school?
when I was at school, no.
Okay, I don't think we
Because
did
I'm
it.
900 years old.
I don't know about in Canada. It's like a thing in the UK, and the kids usually have to dress up, or they like do stuff where they wear their pajamas, or they read books. I don't really know. Anyway, so we happen to have World Book Day at home this year because it was like the week before, I believe it was a week before or two before they went back into school. And so they had these competitions where they had to make a reading den and then they could sit in the picture. And the other thing they do was like they had to make a monster, like draw this monster because it was like the book theme or whatever for whatever it was. And then there was like a competition and it was going to be like 4 people. And this is pretty cool actually. This lady makes the drawings into like real stuffed animals.
Oh, wow.
Aww.
How cool is that? What an idea. I'm like, I like it. I don't know. Anyway, I might still do something for props for that. Anyway, so my daughter, you guys know this, but she's like really, she's 6, but she's really into like Star Wars and Doctor Who, and she loves anything creepy, like obviously age appropriate, but she loves like for her age group, anything she can watch, like Goosebumps that she likes and anything. Like she's a right nerd, like, but she's cool. Anyway, so she makes this monster. She works really hard on it. She loves art, loves to draw. This thing has like 8 legs and arms. It's wielding an axe.
Oh, nice.
I know. It's got like horns and it's like eyes. It's really ugly and mean looking. And I think it's actually, I don't know. I'm going to go with it looks like a doll that it's holding in its arm, or maybe it's a small child. I don't know. Anyway, she went full on with this monster thing, right? Then she named the monster Stenchy because it just like, it gets people with it smells so bad. So she called it Stenchy. I was like, that's really good, right? And this monster is like horrid looking, right? With its axe. So it goes in, I send it in, competition, and she keeps asking me because she's super competitive. I don't know. Must get that competitive nature from me, unfortunately. But she wants to know if she's won. So, you're already like setting them up. Like chances are, you're not going to win because there's all the kids. And also, I think a lot of it goes down to what kid really needs to win right now. So anyway, finally today, it's been like well over a week. The results come out when we get home. And I'm like looking at it and I'm like, she didn't win. But I'm looking at like the winner's monsters, right? Okay. And they're, first of all, they're pretty simple, but they're also called like the friendship monster and the mindful monster.
Sorry. I didn't mean to like dry heap.
I was like, oh my God. And do I need to like write like an email to the teacher just to let them know my kid is okay and she's like normal? Because my kid was like this gnarly monster called Stenchy that was like, I don't know, eating children maybe.
You need to write, you need to contest the results.
Yeah.
And say, friendship monster is not a real monster. I'm very sorry.
That's bullshit, isn't it? Right?
I think the ideal friendship monster would be that girl that you meet in a club bathroom. Do you know, when you automatically become best friends? That's what I envisioned the friendship monster to look like. But no, friendship monsters aren't a thing.
No, I just was like, wait a minute. And then I'm like, did I miss something on the instructions on this? Because she went like all out scary monster and this like, it's bullshit basically. What the hell what's a mindful monster?
It's a monster that carries a sign that says live, laugh, love.
Oh my God.
We're going to have to draw that later.
Oh my God. That's amazing. Anyway, and the monster's like 35, named Karen. Like really short haircut.
With the highlights.
Like highlights in the front.
Hi everyone, and welcome to Murder Friends, the podcast where 3 friends from 3 different countries talk about murder. My name's Alana, and I'm Canadian.
I'm Anna, and I'm American.
My name's Hannah, and I'm British.
So sit back and relax, you're among friends, and let's talk murder.
Yes, so here we are. Another week, another couple weeks done in lockdown. We're getting a little bit closer, hopefully, to the light at the end of the tunnel.
I can just see the light now.
Yeah,
I don't want to jinx it.
No, I know.
But I'm feeling like aggressive vaccination program.
Yeah.
Getting there. We can do it. We're so close.
I'm getting my vaccine tomorrow, which I've already told you guys.
Exciting.
So I'm really excited about. I don't know why I've been offered it already, but you know what? I was like, sure, okay. Because I'm not.
Take it.
I was like, Anyway, I'm gonna have it, which I'm excited about because again, it just makes it feel like that light's getting a little bit closer. So hopefully all goes well. What have you guys been up to? What do you want? I mean, I know you've been doing nothing, but what have you been doing to pass the time? As in, have you been watching, listening, or reading anything you want to share?
The only thing I can think of, we are on the last episode of Sopranos. And it's kind of like bittersweet because my partner and I started Sopranos this time last year because we were separated. I was stuck in Canada and he wasn't allowed to be in Canada, so we were in different countries. And the only thing you can really do is like watch TV. So we started Sopranos because I thought I've always wanted to watch it. Just never got around to it because it's kind of intimidating because it's long. You know, the episodes are long and the series are long, whatever. And we would do that thing where we'd be on FaceTime and we'd each have the episode on our TV and it would be like, okay, press play on the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. It was just like the worst ever. But we are on I think we're going to watch it tonight actually when we're done recording. The series finale, Sopranos. But I can totally see why people gush about it so much. And I mean, it's really good. And I don't really like mafia, organized crime kind of stories, but yeah, it's been really good.
Oh, it's good.
It's really sweet as well that you get to have that, like, get to watch it together as well.
Yeah.
It's so
yeah,
cute.
It's nice. Oh, it's lovely. It is hard. Like, I bet there's, like, quite a lot of stories out there with being separated from your... Like, if you happen to not be living together, or you just it was really bad timing.
It was awful timing.
Real bad timing.
So sudden as well.
The worst.
Yeah, well, this time last year, we went to Florida very briefly, my mom and him and I, and when we landed, as we were in the air was when Trudeau announced that the borders were closed. And so we get to the, like, customs, and they're like, well, didn't you hear the news? Like, we're on the fucking plane. No, we didn't hear the news. Like, well, you're not allowed in. And then it was like panic, and it was just all so very dramatic. But it's hard to believe that it was a solid year. On one hand, it feels like no time at all. On the other hand, it feels like a million years. It's just weird.
Yeah.
It does, yeah. It's crazy.
That is a really good way to describe it. It does feel, exactly
it's
like that.
Twilight Zone. It's just
it is.
weird.
I don't feel like you have a lot to show for the time. You know, normally you look back on a year and you think about all the things you maybe like did and memories you made, and now it's like, what shows did I watch? Like, I don't know. What did I watch? I don't know.
And it's like, oh, do you remember that week where I didn't get changed? Yeah.
Yeah.
I just wore the same leggings.
Yeah. I was wearing my cat pajamas for 4 days straight. It's good times. Yeah. But hopefully, like we said, we're nearing the end. So today, actually, I was lamenting about my back problems before we started recording. Those are still ongoing, guys. And so I started I was going to start cycling. I like indoor cycling, but don't really do outdoor cycling because I'm terrified of British roads because they're tiny and they're scary. Yeah. So, but there's like some good paths that you can go on near me. That's just like off the road. So I was like, right, just to get my legs moving and trying to get some exercise that is low impact. Now, Hannah knows about this because we live near each other. There's this path near us that is has been a nightmare, especially on the weekends, because it's so busy, because no one can do anything but go on their stupid little walks, right?
Yeah, but do people have to go on their stupid little walks where I'm doing my stupid little walk?
I know.
It's basically what I'm getting at. Like, honestly, fuck off. I've been walking that path for years.
Years, exactly.
Years.
Find your own damn path.
Exactly. And then all of a sudden people are like, oh, I'm going on a walk. And I was like, yeah, but just don't do it near me.
Yeah.
That's what I'm asking.
It's like, I can't explain to you like the frustration of how like busy it is. Now, it's like a pedestrian path. There's no designated bike path on it, although it is very much used by people who are riding their bike.
Yeah, it's a cycle path as well, isn't it?
It is both. It is both. I'm saying it is both. But like, there's a ton of families that walk on it too. Like, people are walking on it. So, like I said, there's not a bike lane, okay? So you're sharing it with people who are walking. And they fly through there. Some people, like, they don't ding their bells. They scare the shit out of you. They fly through. It's kind of scary, like, sometimes, especially if you have, like, a little one. Like, if you don't get out of the way, it's like people just do not, they don't give a shit. And they don't actually even acknowledge that they're coming up behind you. Anyway, so I became one of those people today. It's like, we're going to go on that bike with my...
If I see you, I'm going to kick you.
I know. So, just to throw a stick in my wheel.
In your spokes, yeah.
So, but I got my bell, right? And I'm dinging the shit out of that bell. I am half a mile away from these people, and I'm dinging. I'm passing slowly. I am saying thank you and waving. I mean, if I could stop and, like, write them a thank you card, I would. Because that's where I'm at. Like, I'm way over the top today. I was so just, I was annoyed at myself for being on the bike. I was like, all right, but I'm going to be, like, the best cyclist I can be today. So,
God bless you.
Yeah. So literally, that's about it that's going on with me. What about you, Hannah?
Yeah, nothing really. I'm still doing my course, which is fun.
How's that going?
Yeah, good. There's, like, a lot of theory, which I didn't realise. So it's like I have to, like, read a load of stuff and then, like, answer a load of questions, which, like, I did not sign up for. I signed up for learning a language. Anyway, yeah, that's been fun. But I've also been watching a lot of MasterChef.
Oh.
And, like, I don't know what it is about MasterChef, but everyone who goes on it, they're like, oh, I'm making this dish because it's what my grandmother would have made. Or, like, I'm using the artichokes that were hand prepared by me and my 7-year-old son. And it's like, I don't want to fucking hear it. I don't care about your family.
Show me the food.
Show me the fucking food. Put a good plate of food down. I want to have someone on that show who's just like, oh, I've got no family connection. I just really fucking enjoy eating. Like, they're the people I want to see. And I'm getting, like, frustrated by it. And I go on these, like, rants while I'm watching it. And, like, my husband, James, is standing, like, sitting there going, what the fuck is she going on about? Like, I just don't want to hear people moan about, oh, my mum used to make me this chicken soup. I don't give a shit about your mother. Like, I don't care. Just make Greg Wallace and John Turode happy is what I'm asking. I get really angry about it.
That's so funny.
Like, so I think it's because I really enjoy eating, and I don't want to hear about your personal connection.
No,
I just want to see
straight to
a really good lobster tortellini. That's all I want to fucking see.
I think it's like by law you have to have some level of a story or you have to just make one up. It's the same with like all those talent shows. The woman goes on stage, she's like, I'm gonna sing this song. My husband died in a terrible accident and I'm singing this song for him. You're like, I don't even think you were ever married, hon. I think this is fiction.
His last words were, I love Ed Sheeran so much. Do that.
Oh my God. I can imagine yours, Hannah. You go on there and you'd be like, I really like true crime, and here's my cat who has a cone on its head. And I like to eat.
I'm singing. I'm making this lasagna because my cat has a cone on its face. Like, that's not a story.
No.
Stop. I hate it. I just don't understand why I get so riled up by it.
It's like the recipe ones. When you go find a recipe, and I know it's because there's some reason why they do it.
Oh, you're gonna shit on food blogs now?
Yeah.
Are you gonna disremember that I used to have food blog?
I know you did, but I still, I don't understand the 7 paragraphs about their life before they get to the recipe.
For the search engine optimization, so people click and then people see my ads and I get fucking paid for it. That's why.
Doesn't make it any less awful.
But yeah, I get it.
Yeah. I just get really mad. I'm so sorry.
No, I love it.
It's had a really angry MasterChef moment.
Amazing. All right. For true crime news today, there is obviously only one story that we will be talking about, and it's been in the UK everyday headlines. It will have been hard not to hear about it. I actually think it made some international news, and that is the kidnap and murder of Sarah Everard. What I did was I sort of just got a timeline together of like what happened and what we know so far. Obviously, we know a serving Met police officer has been charged with her murder, but we don't actually, obviously, as of yet, know any details about exactly what's happened. So I'm going to actually go back to March 2nd. Now, Wayne Couzens, a serving police officer, begins a 12-hour shift at 7 p.m. before going on leave. So what I'm doing is I'm kind of encompassing the suspect that's been charged with her murder. March 3rd, the marketing executive, Miss Everard, goes missing after leaving a friend's house in Clapham, South London, at around 9 p.m. to make the 2.5-mile journey home. She calls her boyfriend and stays on the phone to him for around 14 minutes. She is captured alone on CCTV at 9:15 p.m., caught again alone on camera at 9:28, and later caught alone on the camera of a marked police car at 9:32. At around 9:35, a bus camera captures two figures on Pointers Road and a white Vauxhall Astra with its hazard lights flashing. Another bus camera captures the same car with both front doors open. The registration of the vehicle, later confirmed to be a car hired in Dover, is captured and tracked by police as it leaves London towards Kent. So around March 5th, Cousins, who is due back at work in a few days, reports that he is suffering from stress. March 6th, the Met Police raised the alarm over Miss Everard's disappearance, saying it was totally out of character for her not to be in contact with family and friends. Police released a CCTV image of her saying she was thought to have walked through Clapham Common after leaving her friend's flat, heading towards her home in Brixton, a journey which should have taken around 50 minutes. And I think that's the day that it became publicized with her picture, and we started to hear about her disappearance. On the same day, Cousins, a trained firearm officer, emails his supervisor to say he does not want to carry a firearm anymore. On March 8th, Scotland Yard says it remains open-minded to all possibilities over Miss Everard's disappearance, while confirming a missing persons investigation has been launched. Specialist officers are drafted in from across the Met Police force. On March 9th, police used sniffer dogs to search gardens and streets around the site near Miss Everard's envisioned route home. All right, and March 10th, later that day, a police officer is arrested, Wayne Cousins, but they haven't actually released a name at that point, and they say that it's both shocking and deeply disturbing. So March 10th, detectives investigating the disappearance search a home and woodland at 2 locations in Kent. Also Kent, goodness me, we're not doing well lately. The Met later reveals that the suspect is a diplomatic protection officer in his 40s, and that he is being questioned over suspected kidnap and murder. The Met Commissioner, Crescenda Dick, announces that what appears to be human remains have been found in a woodland in Ashford, Kent. March 12th, police confirm the body found in Kent Woodland is that of Miss Everard, and Cousins, 48, is charged with kidnap and murder. Now, the following day is the 13th, and that's when he appears at Westminster Magistrates Court. And at the hearing, it is told that Miss Everard's body was found inside a large builder's bag and identified using her dental records. A post-mortem examination has taken place, the prosecutor says, but no cause of death is given in court. The court also hears that her phone has not yet been recovered, and obviously it's still ongoing. So he's just been, essentially, I think a date is set in April or May. I actually didn't write that down. When they will hear about his bail, which I'm going to guess won't happen for murder. So that's what I know. Nothing actually has been revealed. No details of the incident, like what has taken place, has been made public anyway. And probably won't, I would imagine, until it would be going to trial, or he pleads guilty maybe, or something like that. And it's just been a really just awful week. I know it's weighed on my mind and my heart this last week, and just pretty much every woman I know has mentioned it or talked about it or just felt it, because again, she's just an average woman just walking home, trying to do everything right. It didn't,
Yeah, that's what annoys me. She did everything she was supposed to do. She wore bright clothes. She walked in a well-lit area with CCTV. She wore that appropriate footwear. She phoned her partner, and that's what makes me sick.
Yeah, it's
like we're told from such a young age to cross the road, don't wear that, walk this way, be nice, be polite, don't walk home on your own, don't walk in the dark, get a cab, but don't get a dodgy one, text your friends, text me when you get home, and it didn't help.
I have been in that situation before. I'm sure both of you have been in that situation before.
Yeah.
Everyone I know has been in that situation before.
Yeah.
Does that just mean, I guess we just can't go outside anymore, I guess? Doing the right things is not enough. So exactly. We should all just stay indoors. It's awful.
Yeah, it's just highlighted, I think for me, we're super lucky that we live in a country that it's still not happening daily. Women aren't being attacked. We're a relatively safe country, thank God. And this isn't something that happens all the time. Women are assaulted. Yes, I know. But it does make you think, and what I was actually explaining to my husband as well, you don't realize that it's always in your mind, in the back of your mind when you're out, even in the daylight. When I'm walking on that path I was just talking about, and it's not very many people around, I'm still super conscious that I don't have headphones completely in, that I'm always aware of who's behind me, always looking in the middle of the day. As a woman, you have to always be aware of all of these things, and you just live with it, right? Like I have a little alarm thing for my coat pocket to, if I am walking somewhere dark or whatever, it's just set up my, Hannah, I think you might have done it too. You set up your emergency contacts on your phone to where you hit the button and it just immediately notifies everyone and the police. And it's just scary that it's sad that we have to live like that.
Yeah.
And the realization that we do, and it's really sad. I just feel horrific for her family, her friends, her partner, and part of me just really does want to know what actually took place, like what happened, because I want to know what happened, not because I'm my curiosity of wanting to know about the crime. It's like, as a woman, how did he get her? What did he do?
Yeah, I want to take
he was an officer?
Yeah, I want to take notes to make sure it doesn't happen to me.
Exactly, I know.
That's sick, exactly. Isn't it? Fucking sick. I do hope we get like a really good update on how her family are doing and how we can sort of make this a better learning experience for everyone.
Yeah.
Well, they certainly arrested him fast. So I wonder what they have, if there's some level like CCTV. I know they were saying you could follow her as she was walking. Maybe they have something, because I felt like she went missing and then it was like, oh, it's this guy potentially allegedly arrested. It was so fast.
Anna, did you say that there was like a hired car that had been rented from Dover?
Yeah.
Is that premeditation?
No, I mean,
is that if that's anything to do with him? Did he drive that?
I know. Maybe. Maybe.
I don't want to speculate, but that's terrifying.
I know. It is like, like I said, I'm so like desperate to find out, not because I want to know the details of the crime as a morbid curiosity. It's because I literally just want to like, what did he do? Like, how did he manage to get
Wasn't
her?
there also his partner was being questioned as well?
Yeah.
With something, it's being connected with it. I didn't read exactly what it was, but maybe, what's it called when you assist an offender? Is it called assisting an offender?
Might be. That could be it.
Really good with terminology. I've got a whole criminology degree.
There you go.
Using it.
We'll find out, and we'll update in our true crime news section when we find out. And obviously, I know that my thoughts are with her family and her friends during this unimaginable time.
This week for our review section, the first thing we're going to review is Catching Melanie's Killer. This is an 8-part podcast brought to us by the ITV. By ITV. Did either of you listen to it?
Yeah,
I binged it.
Binged it.
Interesting. So, narrated by Robert Murphy, who is an ITV news correspondent, we hear about Melanie Road, a 17-year-old schoolgirl who was murdered whilst walking home from a night out in Bath in 1984. She had been stabbed to death, sexually assaulted, and her body was left just yards from her own home. Her body was found the next morning at around 11 a.m. by a milkman, and he called the police. Police found her keys, which had the name tag Melanie on it, and using a loud hailer drove around the area calling her name. Melanie's mother heard this and went outside. I think that is terrifying.
It just gave me chills. And the mom talks about it too. Like, they didn't know what happened to her, and then all of a sudden there's a car outside yelling Melanie, and you're just like, ugh.
I get shivers like every time I think about that. Yeah. It's so scary. So whilst there was evidence at the scene, blood, etc., there was no DNA testing, mobile phone tracking, or CCTV in 1984, and the case went cold. There were around 35,000 pieces of evidence, and these were all just placed into storage. 30 years after the murder, we meet DCI Julie Mackay, who took control of the cold case. We learn a lot about Julie in this, how she doesn't rest on this case, even after being told by one of her supervising officers to drop it, directly disobeying his orders. We hear about the issues she's facing in her personal life as well. Julie tells a huge part of this story, and I think I described her to both of you in our group chat as the British Julissa Trapp.
Yes.
From Detective Trap.
Yes.
Which we reviewed that in episode 12, and it's worth a listen. But she's tenacious, she's invested, and she has such a drive to solve this case that I don't think that many people have. So she had the blood from the crime scene tested, and there was no DNA match. They chase around close matches to the DNA, but then they get a really, really close match from a woman who was arrested in a domestic abuse incident. So I'm not going to go into specifics because I think the podcast is truly one to listen to, but they do catch their man 32 years later, and he's sentenced to life with a minimum of 22 years. The judge noted that he will probably die in prison. I did have reservations about an ITV podcast. I find a lot of their true crime like overly sensationalized and like really, really showy. Like I find it really dramatic and made for entertainment. I don't really enjoy it.
Yeah.
I also think I have like a weird prejudice towards ITV in some way. I think it's all like Love Island, and I just think it's tacky. I'm sorry. I'm just not a fan of it. I don't think, I'm going to put on ITV this afternoon.
Yeah, no, I'm not an ITV. They have the odd shit, like the show Unforgotten. I don't know if you guys ever watched that. That's a brilliant show, and that's an ITV show, but it's very, very good. I think it's on Netflix, guys.
It's about cold cases as well, isn't it?
Yeah, it's about cold cases. Yeah. Very good show. But I always just find them a bit... It's like, I usually go Channel 4 documentaries, BBC documentaries, or shows. I don't know.
Yeah, they're not top tier.
They're not top tier.
They're not god tier. Definitely.
There's not. And then below that's like Channel 5.
Yeah. But I think this podcast is brilliant. It's truly a standout true crime podcast and a truly standout piece of crime reporting. There is one episode where they think that there could be a connection with another murder of another girl called Melanie in the area around the same sort of time. I think it was within a couple of years. And I think that probably could have been left out. But other than that, I was kind of really gripped by it on multiple occasions. The storytelling is really like rich and full of detail without being repetitive or stuffed with like filler, fluffy material. And I think it's good that the episodes are about 30 minutes each, because it's like a good length for like an investigative podcast, because you don't lose your focus. You don't go, I'm going to go and do something else. So yeah, I really, really enjoyed it. And the main reason I really enjoyed it was because I was really glad to be able to recommend something in our group chat, because I do not pull my weight when it comes to recommendations. I don't know if you've noticed, every week one of you is like, I've watched or read something really cool, and I'm like, I'm watching 2 seasons of RuPaul's Drag Race. So, yeah.
That's why I really was like jumped on it to listen to, because you were like, yeah, it's good. I was like, oh my god, Hannah recommended 0, like nothing. So I was like, I know if she's like listened to it, she said it was good. I was like, it must, yeah, I got to give it a shot, and it was. I was like binged it like in 2 days. I think I listened to all of it. I was like making excuses to. I've got like more laundry to fold. But yeah, it was very, very good, very gripping. That, I mean, if anything happens to myself or a family member, could you please call her to solve the case? Because wow, what a badass! Like, and actually, it talked about how she like continued to form friendship. She had a friendship with her mother, and that was really sweet. And like, they still go for lunch, you know. And you could just say like, literally, her whole like her heart and soul was in it. It wasn't just her job. Like her job did not actually. They told her to stop, and she was like, no. Like, I'm going to find him. And they did. And it was absolutely incredible.
Yeah, I thought it was great. I know, Hannah, you brought it up in the chat and you weren't really sure. And so I was I think I was already listening to an Anna recommendation, because I never recommend stuff either. So I was already listening to an Anna thing, and I was like, well, I'll wait and see what Hannah says. And then you came back and you're like, actually, this is really good. So I was like, all right, like, give it a shot. And I did the same thing. I binged it in a couple of days. Perfect episode length. If stuff gets too long, it just gets really padded. And I really loved that. It's a very personal look at solving a crime, because you really get to know her as a person and her trying to solve a very cold case. And I also thought it was really interesting that it goes into all of the leads that they follow, and they all end up nowhere. And I think a lot of podcasts would cut that stuff out, right? But it really shows, like, this is how the actual investigation happened. They follow this lead for months and it goes nowhere. And they follow this and it's nothing. And they follow that. And I really actually liked that. I didn't think it was padding or anything. That's what they did. They had to follow everything until it went nowhere.
Yeah, I think that's a really like important part of the story, isn't it? It's like the bit where they found the fingerprint on the shoe.
Yeah.
And they were like running around trying to chase it. All the while, the British government were deleting old records, which I think I spoke about in the previous episode. And they were like racing against the clock to try and like match these fingerprints. And it was just like, at that point, I was like at my desk, like, oh my God, this is so good. And it turned out to be a lab tech.
Yeah, so Spoilers. It's like, it's heartbreaking, but you think, well, that must happen all the time in these investigations where you're chasing this lead for months and you're putting all your time into it, and then it ends up being absolutely nothing. So I thought that was really interesting, and I was so fucking thankful that we have a conclusion, because I was getting a little bit worried that y'all might have given me another unsolved podcast and I would not be happy, but no, it was really good, and it was very, I'm gonna say gripping again. We're all saying gripping. It was really good.
Yes, definitely gripped.
What would you guys rate it out of 5?
6.
I think I'd give it a 5 actually.
Yeah,
me too.
Yeah, definitely a 5. Listen to it. It's a really interesting story. I think one of the most thorough like podcasts into an actual investigation, as in they've told you everything about the dead ends. It might be linked to this case, that case. Yeah, so definitely give it a listen. Well done, Hannah, for that one.
I did something. I did a recommendation.
Yeah. Woo! Unlike me, who recommends everything.
For our next review section, we're discussing Datelines, of course. Datelines. New, and I think first miniseries called The Widower, about a Las Vegas man who had 4 of his 6 wives die under mysterious circumstances. Now, the series is only 3 episodes, and I actually really liked that format. My go-to podcast is Dateline because I love that you can just listen to one episode and it's a complete story. You know, if something comes up and I need to just do something, but I don't want to be alone with my thoughts, I'm like, I can put a Dateline episode on. It's just one episode, doesn't matter. But having this sort of like mini series was actually really nice. It's like an in-between, you know, having just one single episode versus like a full-blown 8 episode series. So I would love if more podcasts could do, you know, extended episodes or mini series or whatever. So The Widower. I didn't get that. Could you try again? So Siri just recorded literally everything I just said. Oh my God, stop. That terrified me. Okay. The Widower follows Thomas Randolph, and I read online some people are calling him the Joe Exotic of true crime, and I can feel that. Maybe slightly less dramatic than the real Joe Exotic, but very similar. So like I mentioned, he was married 6 times. With a face like that, you'll have to see online. He was married 6 times. Have you looked at him, Hannah?
I had to Google it. I was so disgusted.
God. It was hard, right?
6 times!
How?
And 4 of his wives died. So that's shocking. There are a lot of characters, a lot of evidence, and a lot of investigating, and I'm not going to dive into that. But I figure I'll just sort of give you the beginning and where Dateline sort of starts the story. So we begin with Randolph, who's calling 911 to report that his wife has been shot, his current wife. Police and emergency crews arrive to find his 6th wife, Sharon, dead from a gunshot wound, and a man named Michael Miller, also dead from gunshots in the family home. Randolph long claims that he's innocent, saying that Mike had broken into their home and he had shot Sharon. And then that forced Randolph to kill Mike out of self-defense. This is believed to be the case for a while, but not very long. Certain pieces of evidence just don't add up, and it all seems a bit silly. The prosecution alleges that Randolph had hired Mike to kill Sharon for the life insurance, and then he turned on him and killed Mike to cover his tracks. Of course, Mike didn't know that part of the story was the plan all along. However, prosecution, the detectives, they don't believe that they have enough evidence for a conviction, so they think, okay, we have to find more. So the detectives are just forced to keep looking, and they decide to go back in Randolph's history. And that's when they discover there are 3 other dead wives with insurance payouts. And that is really where the story begins. So overall, I really enjoyed it. Like I said, I really liked that it was only 3 episodes. there's not enough time for padding or for things to drag on because it is only 3 episodes. The only thing that was kind of confusing is in this miniseries, there is no host. So in Dateline episodes, they always have a host and everybody has their own favorite. I know some people don't like our lean king, Morrison.
I'm sorry. He's spooky.
He is a bit spooky.
He's the best. What? He's a national treasure.
But I find having the host help sort of ties the story together and like gives it a nice flow. So without the host in this miniseries, sometimes I found it hard to tell when we were going into like a commercial preview, like a promo. It was like the story was going along and then all of a sudden someone's talking, but I don't know who's talking, and they're talking about something that hasn't happened yet, and then I realize it's a future promo for like when we come back from the break. I don't know, maybe I wasn't paying attention enough, but it kind of confused me. And I normally don't have that issue with Dateline because the host like really sets up the promo. Anyway, that was literally the only downside for me. I think it's an insane story. Dateline always has good production quality, so you never have to worry about like shitty interviews. Pretty good flow. It's quite a confusing story, and there's a lot of people involved, but I think they really help make sense of it all because there's so many moving parts and everything, and I thought it was great.
Yeah, it was good. I think I even talked about it in our last full episode because we kind of said, you said you were listening to it too. Yeah, it was good. It was just kind of a nice change from their, I mean, I also listened to their podcast feed, and again, it's one of those nothingy things I can stick on, like, and just kind of do other things, whatever. But I really enjoy it. I think the biggest mystery is that guy convinced 6 women to marry him.
Yeah, we'll have to put pictures up because what the fuck?
Yeah. So there must be something going on there. I don't know.
Yeah, he's this creepy looking. It just...
It's the long hair.
Yeah, it's... no. No, thank you. I thought the podcast was great. I don't listen to it because it is just the audio from Dateline episodes, isn't it?
Yeah.
And I find that format challenging to listen to because I'm not used to like North American TV. So they play like a lot of music underneath speaking.
Yeah.
And I sometimes struggle with that. But I thought it was really great. And like Alana said, it was a lot of people, and the story is actually quite confusing because they do jump around a little bit, but they actually presented it in such a way that you could understand it. And I was a little bit concerned, especially when you said, there was like 6 wives and 4 of them are dead. I'm like, I'm never going to remember like any names or like who's connected to who and like how they died. I just feel really, really sorry for, is it the last wife that he killed? Her daughter?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that was terrible.
And her interviews were heartbreaking, like truly heartbreaking. But it was really good. It was really interesting. And I think you're both right. That 3-episode format works fantastically well for a story like that.
Yeah, it was good. I definitely give it a listen, especially if you don't have anything else going on. It's a good listen. And you're right. It is very, very much North American TV. So I can understand. I get why you say like, I find it hard to listen to that, like Dateline. But for me, it's really comforting. I know that's horrible because I think you said the same thing. It's just that thing of growing. I don't know. It is like.
It's super comforting. It's like my go-to, like, comfort. Yeah. I've had a bad day. I need to listen to a Dateline.
I literally was listening to a Dateline before this when I was, like, making dinner.
It's crazy, too, because the episode they released on their podcast feed before The Widower is a story of a man who comes home and his wife is dead and his friend is dead, and he claims that the friend killed the wife, and so he had to kill the guy. And I listened to them back to back and I was like, wait, what the fuck? Is this the same story? Yes. No, it's a separate asshole husband who killed his wife and another guy to cover his tracks. Like, how often does this happen?
Yeah, but I think he might have done it even a worse job than this guy. He did a real bad job, like, with the whole thing.
No, he did such a bad job, it was only worth 1 episode.
Yeah, he only had 1 episode. It was like, wow. They were straight away, they were like,
You suck. Yeah. Do you think it could have been turned into one of, like, Dateline's special thing about Pam sort of things? Or
I think 3 episodes was a good length. I don't think you could have you could dive in more, sure, but I don't know if it would necessarily be worth it. It definitely couldn't have been a single Dateline episode. It would be way too confusing. So I think it was nice. Again, it's like that in between. It's not a full-blown series. It's not just one episode. I thought it was great. Definitely worth a listen.
Yeah. So remember that it is on the Dateline podcast format of their show, and it's just 3 episodes within there if you want to look it up just in case.
Do you think it would have been better if it had your spooky man in there?
I think everything could be improved with the spooky man. However, I will say I did listen to that Mummy Doomsday or whatever, which you were completely right, Anna. It is just a recap of everything we've already listened to. I just had it on in the background. I think Dateline are just trying to capitalize on the fact that they were really involved in that story. So they're like, let's do another podcast. But Morrison is the host for Mommy Doomsday, and he is in his top creepy form on that whole podcast. It's like fucking Halloween. It's so almost to me creepy, but he really lays it on for it.
He is, it is good. It is, but it is essentially, because you remember how Dateline released little episodes about it over the last year? It essentially is just all of them together. It was pretty much for the most part.
Yeah, so, I think. If you didn't know the story, it's a great telling of it, but we obviously already know, and it's not anything new. There's a couple things I didn't remember if it was included before, but yeah, he's proper creepy in that one.
Yeah, definitely. I love him.
Weird crime time.
Okay, for weird crime time today, I'm taking you to Florida. Not only do I got a Florida man, I got a bird. So... We're going to tick all the boxes, okay? So, parrots chilling let me out cries, prompt 911 call, police visit to Florida man's house. So, Lake Worth Beach. When a Florida neighbor heard those chilling cries, let me out, and he's going, ah. The logical next step was to call 911. So 4 Palm Beach County Sheriff's deputies pulled up and confronted a man who had his wife's car on blocks in his driveway. So you know what I'm talking about, right? On the cinder blocks.
Yeah.
In a minute, the mystery was solved. The man walked inside and returned with his parrot. They did post a video of this online, and I'll link the stuff on our website. In it, the parrot clearly can be heard saying, "Let me out," and letting out a heart-wrenching groan. So when the deputies show up and explain their concerns, the man turns, smiling, and calls Rambo. Part. He tells the deputy he'll bring out the perpetrator, and when he returns with the parrot, the deputies burst out laughing. He said he was just changing the brakes on his wife's car, and he had the parrot's 40 years old, because his parrots live a really long time,
Jesus.
don't they? Yeah, his 40-year-old parrot, Rambo, was on his porch, on his little perch outside where he sings and talks. And so anyway, it was just the bird. But I just think it was amazing that his name is A, Rambo, and B, that they trained it to say, help, let me out. He said he taught him to say it when he was a kid, because the guy was he's had it most of his life.
Wow.
When he was a kid, because he's 40 years old, right? So he's had it for such a long time. That something he taught him to say, literally when he was a kid.
Oh, I thought that he picked it up from when the man murdered his first wife.
That's the story, at least.
That's the vibe I got.
Yeah, no. And it's actually literally, completely harmless. But obviously somebody just thought that somebody was in trouble.
You did the right thing phoning the police, though.
Oh, yeah.
If I heard that, I'd phone the police.
Exactly. But it was just so can you imagine just you're minding your own business? You got your parrot, you got your mate out there, you got some tunes on maybe. I kind of listen to him. I bet he's maybe he's a parrot head. I don't know. He could be listening to Jimmy Buffett.
He's in Florida.
He's in Florida. I mean, he's I picture him as one, okay? So he's listening to some Margaritaville. He's working on the wife's car. Suddenly 4... cop cars. I imagine them kind of half pulling it. And they all come from different sides. And they're
screeching.
Up on the lawn.
Up on the lawn. And they're stop. The guns are out, everything. And he's dude, it's just...
He's got a wrench in one hand. He's fuck.
Drop your weapon. And you're what? I'm glad it was a funny story and not actually something horrific. I feel maybe we just needed a nice ending to something like that right now after what we just talked about in these last episodes. So there we go.
It's incredible.
Well, I think that's all we have for today. Check out our website, murderfriends.com. You can find our sources for things we talked about today. If you want to share any good stories of you think we should know about, any suggestions for either Weird Crime Time or anything like that, our True Crime 101 episode, you can email us at murderfriendspod@gmail.com. Follow us on Twitter at murderfriendspd and Instagram at murderfriendspod. And we'll see you next time. Bye.